Hi, my name's Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we're looking at Smash Up, a 2 to 4 player competitive area control game because you're looking to control and ultimately destroy bases in order to gain victory points. It also has elements of variable player powers because each player is going to be picking from a number of different factions and mashing them together. And also take that, because underhanded tactics, backstabbery and general mischief can absolutely play a part in this game. So each player is going to be picking two different fictional or historical archetypes, be it dinosaurs, ninjas, pirates, robots, and combining them together to make the ultimate team. So let's see how this plays and whether this could be the next game for you. So the object of the game is to be the first player to reach 15 victory points. To set up the game, either randomly or democratically take two factions from the box, and the faction symbols can be found on the bottom right hand corner of the cards. So player 1 has started with dinosaurs and zombies, and player 2 tricksters and wizards. You'll then draw the top 5 cards from your deck, and cards are one of two types. They can either be minions or actions. And if at any time you draw those 5 cards and you don't have any minions, you can choose to reveal that hand to your opponents and discard those cards, shuffle your deck and draw another 5 cards. However, regardless of the next 5 you draw, you have to keep those. Then to finish setup, you need to draw a number of bases face up in front of everyone, equal to the number of players plus 1. So in this 2-player game, it's 3 bases. And then you'll need to have easy access to the remaining base cards, because these are going to be replaced as they're defeated throughout the game. You're then good to go. So after randomly selecting the first player, each player turn will go down as follows. First things first, you're going to check whether there are any cards out that have abilities that happen at the start of the turn. Once that's done, you get to then play cards from your hand. So you're going to be able to play 1 minion and 1 action from your hand, and you can do that in any order. So first things first, minions get placed from your hand onto a base of your choice. Now the reason you do that is because each base has a break point in the top left hand corner, and that's equals the number of power that you and your opponents have to accrue on a particular base to destroy that base and get the spoils from it. So player 1 might decide to play this armor stego that has 3 power, which can be found in the top left hand corner on the mothership. Now we're still well away from meeting the 20 power requirement breakpoint on this base, but this is what player 1 wants to focus some of their efforts on. We then come to actions, and actions tend to have one-time effects, like this Take the Shinies card, which says each other player discards 2 random cards. So as you can see, both actions and minion cards generally have text that's very clear on what you need to do. Now once you've played an action card, unless it has an ongoing effect or it's been played on a base, as some action cards do, you'll then place it straight in your discard pile. Now once you've played both a minion and an action on your turn, then you'll check whether any bases need to be scored. Now at this point early in the game, that's not the case because none of the breakpoints have been achieved. And then finally, to end your player turn, you'll draw 2 cards. And if at any time you have more than 10 cards after drawing, you'll need to discard down to 10 cards in your hand. So a few turns later, the dinosaur player has played King Rex on the Jungle Oasis base as their last card for their turn. And when checking scoring, the players see that the breakpoint of 12 has been met by the combined power of minions at that base. So this is where we see how victory points are going to be divvied up. So the dinosaur player has contributed the most amount of power with 7, and so he's going to take home the first place prize of 2 victory points. And unfortunately, although the trickster has contributed a decent 5 power, the second place is only 0 points, so they'll come away empty-handed. And whenever a base is scored and you'll check to see if any abilities on the base take place at that point, you'll then discard that card and place the next base from the base deck face up in front of everyone. And any minions remaining at the base, unless they have card text to contradict it or allow them to move to another base, will be placed in the respective player's discard pile. So play will continue like that until one player has got 15 victory points. And if at that point more than one player has obtained that amount, you'll then go into a kind of sudden death mode where you're going to keep playing player turns until one player has the highest amount of points. So that's how this plays. What did I think of it? So who is this game for? Well, it's in the lightweight division where most gateway games find their home, but really this is just a fun and highly accessible title that is going to teach you some of the basic fundamentals you might need if you're looking to explore more heavyweight games. Now, if you like the idea of mythical matchups, could dinosaurs really tear up zombies? And could wizards and pirates really work in harmony? Those are the important questions that you will find answers to playing this game. Now, you might want to consider this if you liked Blood Bowl Team Manager, published by Fantasy Flight Games, or Discworld Ankh-Morpok, published by Treefrog Games, because the format really does share a similar feel and theme to this, and the latter shares many of the mechanics but adds some dice rolling in there as well. So in terms of gameplay, there's a great deal to appreciate about what's on offer here for what is a highly simplistic game. You know, you're playing a minion, you're doing an action in any order you see fit, then you're drawing cards and passing to the player to your left. So this is a super easy game to learn and very easy game to get to the table. However, the real treat, the real delight can be found from those faction combinations. Now, each of which is going to have their own strengths and weaknesses, and it's not particularly difficult to identify what those are. But that doesn't make it any less of a rewarding experience when you're able to pull off those special combos and make the most use of the cards you've got in your hand. Now, a similar positive story can be said about the variety in the bases that come with the game. Now, it's not just as simple as you have the most power when a base breaks, you get the most points. You know, others give you different abilities for coming in last place, and some even give you more points for coming in second place. So that adds to a real more strategic experience, and knowing when the right time is to play cards from your hand really will differentiate your ability to score the most points. Now, there's always something you can do on your turn. There's no resource management here. So that makes for a fast-paced, engaging experience for everyone. And the same can be said for the take that elements. Yes, your opponents can bounce or destroy your minions, but because there's no resource management, you know full well you can probably get back at them on your turn, and then it becomes this fun experience for everyone because there's nothing that's too demoralising about the take that elements. However, player scaling in this regard is not perfect because the two-player experience means that you're always targeting the same opponent every time you bounce or destroy a minion, for example, and that makes for a more grindy affair towards the end game. I mean, game length for 3 and 4 players is pretty much spot on, but that two-player experience does suffer from a little bit of needle in that regard, but it's nonetheless still that same fun core gameplay experience. Now, balancing this game, I suspect, on paper is extremely difficult. You might have some very, very strong combinations of different factions in here. We've played this game through a number of times now, and we've never come across anything that has spoilt the gameplay experience or has broken it in any way, shape or form. So in terms of the look and feel and theme of the game, well, we know they had to get this one right. This had to be sexy. This had to show a bit of leg to show that genre mashup and really grab your attention on the shelf. And I'm pleased to say they've done a really good job in that regard. All of the component quality, the artwork is of a really high standard. The medium-sized box is scalable, so you can put expansions in there, probably a couple, and really you're just getting some great value, some great replayability from this. There's some fluff on each of the factions in the rulebook, but really you're getting that theme just through playing the cards and immersing yourself into whatever factions that are being played. So with all that being said, Dice vs Cards are going to give a final score of 8 out of 10 to this highly engaging, really quite fun and recommendable experience. So that's it from me. I'll see you next time.
There are reports of a flock of dinosaurs attacking a local village, and a secret coalition of ninjas and pirates have released a statement saying This will not abide.